We're live on a Sunday. One of the things I laugh about, folks, is the fact that we're supposed to have these so-called reporters who cover the 49ers, right? The so-called insiders. They're not really insiders. You have as much information on your brain as they do, which means nothing. You guys could easily be insiders. The 49ers press corps is a joke. They know it. You know it. There is no spin. They don't give you any sort of insight. They don't talk about things that they should be talking about. And again, it's sports, it's the toy department. It's been relegated into the sophomoric area because it's sports, but it doesn't have to be that way. It also doesn't have to be, Watergate ish. My point is all these so called press corps, and there's lots of them. There's Matt Mayoko, there's David Lombardi of The Athletic, you know, there's people like that fraud Mike Silver of the Chronicle, who's supposed to be talking about NFL football. Of course, you got KNBR and 95.7 The Game. And you have all these press folks who don't give you any insight, who don't ask questions that they should. They're part of the, shall we say, the fanboys. The only news you're going to get, and inconvenient sometimes news, which is the way it should be, because these guys, they should cover the team and not worry about their pizza slices and breakfast that they get inside the 49ers. Very nice, I may add, press box at Levi's Stadium. Instead of concentrating on the turkey sandwiches and the pizza and the breakfast that they get served to them, they ought to be more concerned and talk about asking legitimate, tough questions to, say, Kyle Shanahan. Let me ask you this, folks. Why is it that you have not heard one iota, and, the season is still young, about the job security of Kyle Shanahan, who hasn't won anything? He hasn't won anything. That's a high standard. But the 49ers are one of the franchises, it's Super Bowl or bust. You don't hear much about Kyle Shanahan, the coach of the team. Has anybody asked him, Mr. Shanahan, are you now sensitive about the fact that you not won, and that your owner might be a little, shall we say, sensitive to the fact that you haven't won a championship since being with the 49ers? It's now your, eighth or ninth season? Nobody asked that. Nobody. And if you want real news, if you want news you don't get locally, certainly, you got to go to Schefter. Adam Schefter of ESPN, or Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network, or various people. The bald-headed guy, Jay Glazier at Fox. They talk more about real news with regards to the 49ers than the local fanboys. All they talk about is their pizza slices and their breakfast food and the great spread. This Matt Miyoko, what a joke. He talks about his favorite sandwich store. He doesn't talk about anything with the 49ers. It doesn't give you any insight. Has Matt Miyoko ever asked Kyle Shanahan of late, sir, are you concerned? Is it fair game to talk about your job status? You've not won a championship. That may seem unfair, but it's legitimate because Kyle Shanahan hasn't won a championship with the 49ers. In fact, has blown multiple Super Bowls and an NFC championship game. 49ers are a team that has won 5 Super Bowls, but they need to win, and they haven't won lately. Haven't won a Super Bowl in almost 30 years. Mayoko doesn't say anything, doesn't ask. Pretty Boy, the guy that works for the Standard now, the guy that used to work for the Athletic, okay, David Lombardi, does he talk about the 49ers? Does he talk to the players about how they feel about the job status of say, Kyle Shanahan? You don't get that. You get the fanboys locally, and you get real insiders on a national basis, like Schefter, like Jay Glazier at Fox Sports, or Ian Rappaport. The local 49ers press corps, question mark? What press corps? These are jockeyphants. Howard Cosell referred to the industry as the jockocracy and the coach. Now it's the press corps. Tim Kawakami, who is a schmuck, a putz, a certifiable asshole, who also now works for the Standard of San Francisco. Does he ask any questions to Kyle Shanahan? No. And I'm centering on Shanahan only because it's a legitimate question. I've heard some of the national commentators talk about his job status. Not an iota from the local fanboys. They're more concerned about their scrambled eggs and whatever food that they receive. And I believe me, years ago, folks, I had that food. Great food. What a spread. Just awesome. Pizza and hamburgers and cheeseburgers and pretzels and good, delicious food. It's awesome. I've been there, done that. That's all you get out of these morons. They do not give you any news. They're supposed to be working press. And yes, it's sports, the toy department, but even at that, where are you, Mike Silver? Shilling a book that 5 people have bought since its debut about 3 weeks ago. Nobody cares about your book. You should be talking about the 49ers. You should be giving us, speaking of insight, some insight, but you don't either. I know you got your son a job at KNBR. That's legit, fine. But do you report on any significant NFL or 49ers news? Hell no. None of the local press corps. What press corps? It's a joke. It is a certifiable joke. You fans, you should be complaining, but you aren't. But that's up to you. I just said what they won't. They're not legit.